What's going on, family? It's me, Carolyn Denise, better known as Niecy, back with another video. Actually, today we're going to wrap up The Dome and the Outer Space Projection by Claudio Nicelli. For the past, I guess, 6 or 7 days, I've been reading from this book that I just got from Prime last week, and I wanted to deep dive into it with you guys. So I wanted to cover these last couple of chapters and kind of give some notes. And actually, I left my notes in the bedroom. Gosh, what do you want, Ernie? My little 3-pound chihuahua's hitting me on my leg over here, you guys. Y'all can hear him. I'm not going to bring him on camera. He's real shy. Mia is a ham. She loves to be all up in the mix. But Mojo, he's a peculiar one. I seem to think he actually was born a cryptid. He was born a cryptid. Look that up and concerned, in terms of what that means. He actually just had one ball. He didn't have two. He had one that didn't drop. So they call it cryptid. So I always ask him, is he a 10-foot tall cryptid? Like when I listen to my creepy pasta and, things that are in the national forest that we know nothing about, that they have not told us about, right? That's slowly coming out through like Lilith and Donovan Dredd. I don't know if you guys check out those YouTube channels, but giving them a shout out and a nod. Anyway, my notes are in the other room, so let me see if I can just recall. So when I was, going through this book early this morning when I woke up and, I got to thinking, I'm like, as I was going through this, I'm thinking, what if during the fires of 1666 in Paris, and it was a global wide thing, right? And then they did the reset around approximately 1728, is what they're saying, 728. They did the reset. What if, since these graves has been, as you know, because you've on the internet, you're on YouTube or Instagram or wherever, these people come out and they say that they've been abducted by aliens and that they have memory lapse of time and loss of time and lapse and things like that. And so my thing is, what if when they were being abducted, that they actually did tinker with their genetic makeup, with their DNA? And so by upgrading these specific entities or people with specific blood types, right, and inserting these devices or what have you, who's to say at some point they can't flip a switch and have these people go in and do their dirty work for them? Because we know, based on this book, the Greys came in, and on these other books, especially this one, The Hidden Lands Beyond Antarctica, it talks about the red watering that happened the day that these things came in and started unaliving people. And it talks about, the fifth generation reset here in this book. And then it goes into, in no certain terms, how many resets we've had, because I recapped that on the last video. They're anywhere from 1400 to 6,500 years. So we're the seventh generation, right? This is the seventh generation. Or no, excuse me. It's the new humanity. We're the seventh generation. And it began in 1728 AD, or I would like to say 728, because we know that they've added 1,000 years based on Arthur Kessler's book over here, which Chief Red Wolf has been reading, not to Chief. And it goes in certain terms what these resets were like and where they were. It seems like at each time we get to a certain point in consciousness and evolution, they flip the switch. Well, my point in this, just this short recap, is evolution will always win. I was watching Superman last night. Marvel, DC Comics, that type of thing. And I got to thinking, Asgard, Thor, I'm like, they're putting it in the movies based on our history, our true ancient past, that they want to dub it as a mythology, right? I know sometimes this may sound theatrical or fantastical, but it's not. I mean, it's true history, you guys. And you've got to know, right? You've got to do your research and you got to know these things. Left my water in the other room. All right, so let's get into it. We're going to wrap up today on camera, you guys. So I'm on chapter 26, and I'm on the Hessdalen lights and the other phenomena. So we're here, okay? And here's the book. Here's Claudio right here on the back. This is him. Guess he's down in Antarctica. He's in a cold suit, or he's in a cold jacket. So you can see he has cold winter wear, right? So let's read it. It says base 501F. All right. Oh, this is pretty. The lights that appear in the valley of the Hessdalen in Norway are of still unknown origin. These lights appear in diverse parts, colors, and durations, okay? Being able to move quickly or to reframe static in the sky. They are of different sizes and different colors. Let me turn this light some down. Can you guys still see me on camera? Is that better? It's just blinding me. I don't know. All right, you see me as me. I don't have any makeup on today. All right, so it says they are of different sizes and colors, can vary from white, yellow, blue, or even red, and can last up to several hours, both day and night. Could these lights have any connection to the IDP? With the suspicion that the IDP uses holographic projections, it could not be ruled out that these lights are some kind of system failure that would be repeating in this area. The IDP technology, uses energy field manipulation to maintain the illusion of outer space by creating stars, planets, and other celestial bodies that can be observed in the skies, although the exact technology used remains unknown. This energy that is used by the invisible dome projector, which is the IDP, could then be interacting in the Earth's atmosphere in a way that is causing these luminous phenomena observed at Hessdalen. The patterns of motion and colors changes could represent fluctuations of the emitted energy or small automatic adjustments. This would then also serve as a starting point for analyzing other phenomena occurring in the skies and the impact this has on the new humanity. Marfa lights down here in Texas by me, right? USA, their lights are observed in a desert that appear as bright spheres of different colors that move erratically. Brown mountain lights in North Carolina, these luminous phenomena manifest as bright orbs in the mountains, visible day and night. The Min lights in Australia, these phenomena in Australia outback appear as floating orbs that seem to follow people or vehicles. Luminous phenomena in the San Luis Valley in Colorado include brightly colored lights and rapid movements in the sky. What about the northern lights, you guys? I mean, they've come down so far as to be seen down here where I am. I know in Illinois and New York. It says all these unexplained phenomena could be related to the errors or adjustments of the mentioned IDP, which is the invisible dome projector. That's the IDP. And it says, and it will be further studied and documentation will be added. And this is what it looks like. I said I was going to go down to Marfa, Texas, so I could see the lights. I want to see that. All right. And it says, these rays, it's called ball lightning. These rays, also known as ball lightning, is one of many strange and less understood phenomena that occur on the known lands even today. These luminous spheres that move erratically during thunderstorms have puzzled scientists and observers for centuries. I'm going to stop this right here. I'm going to tell you guys a weird story that happened to me as a child when I was in Louisville, Kentucky. My Aunt Queen, which is my grandmother's older sister, she was taking care of my mother and my mother's children, all 7 of us. And she also took care of her other siblings' children too, right? They would come up to Aunt Queen's house and stay, and people would move around, get on their feet, buy homes, do whatever, travel, come in from the NBA, from the NFL or whatever. They would, they would be in college, and then they went to, mainstream sports. I have family members who are into that. I'm not going to say their names on here, but they were well paid. So my point is growing up as a child, we always had a lot of people coming in and out of the house, right? Well, I specifically remember when I was probably about 6, maybe 5 or 6, it would start to storm. And, up north, up in Louisville, Kentucky, and like Chicago, all through Evansville, Indiana, Memphis, they have these sirens that will go off when there's a tornado that's coming inbound, right? You can hear it throughout the city, right? It's like a emergency detection system. I remember hearing the sirens, and I remember seeing clouds, and I remember seeing lightning. What the weirdest thing happened to me, and it just wanted to share this on camera. When I was a child, we had a fireplace in the living room, and this house was built in the 1800s, so real wood floors, high ceilings, these big, heavy 10-foot doors with the skeleton keys. I mean, I lived in a house like that, grew up in a house like that. So in the living room, there was a fireplace. It was some type of artificial, I want to say artificial fireplace, but it had a flute. And what would happen is when it would lightning, some kind of way, the lightning would come down the damn chimney and it would light, and then it would just static electricity all up and down this damn fireplace. It was just crazy. So she had people come out and investigate as to why this was happening. It was in the paper, a little piece or something. They wrote up about it. They took pictures of it, and it was some type of phenomena. And she had different people come out. I think somebody from the university came out, studied from the science department or whatever, and they said that if she was to cut the tree down that was in the yard, it was acting as some type of conductor with the house and the energy that was coming through the fireplace. So when they cut the tree down, long story short, it stopped happening. But it was the weirdest thing because I was so young. So I would be so terrified of storms. I would run to the double doors right where the fireplace was and get in between those doors and shut the doors. And I would hide under the dining room table because back then they had solid wood heavy furniture, and I used to hide under the furniture. And so when it would storm, I would get under a chair as a child, and I was terrified. But I've always been afraid of lightning ever since then. So funny thing about me, and I'm going to get back to reading the story, I'm probably the only person you will ever meet that wears sunglasses in a storm. And it's triggered from childhood trauma, from me watching the lightning go down the fireplace all these years. And when I see lightning, I immediately put on sunglasses and I'm driving, and everybody else is like, what are you doing? And I get the darkest, blackest shades, and my tent is always super dark on my car. And it's because of the lightning. True story. Anyway, let's get back to it. All right. So yeah, I know I'm a little strange, but everybody's got their quirks, right? So it says these luminous spheres that move erratically during thunderstorms have puzzled scientists and observers for centuries. These lightning bolts are spears of light that float and move unpredictably. They can last up to several minutes and vanish without a trace, although sometimes an explosion or hissing sound is reported when they disappear. According to the official reports that are given to the public in the known lands, appears the so-called Great Thunderstorm of the year 1638, which was before the reset, where it said that it was the first documented case of a globular flashing lightning flash. Curiously, in 1908, just the same year where the famous Tunguska incident happened, a Russian explorer testified a similar phenomena in Siberia that added strange lights in the skies just weeks after the incident. What connection has then the Tunguska incident with the globular lighting? Consider turning it in direct connection with the IDP, with the invisible dome projector. And it could be. I think there's something to that. These events could be intrinsically related to the IDP, as the dome projections can interact with the electromagnetic field, especially during thunderstorms, when the atmosphere is charged with electricity. And that's what it was. That's why that stuff was coming down the fireplace. Literally, the lights would be out in the house because you lose power during thunderstorms. But when the lightning hit, you could see the lightning from the top of the chimney, because these ceilings were like, 18, 20 feet. I mean, it was a really tall, those old houses. We would literally shut off parts of the house because we wouldn't go in it because it was difficult to keep it warm, right? And we had the vents that came out of the floor. The metal grates, big old heavy metal grates. I used to have to stick the vacuum cleaner down and get all that up. And I just remember those heavy floor grates and the skeleton keys. And so it's weird to me that, this electromagnetic, this energy that's in the ether, okay? And it works it works hand in hand with the invisible dome protector. I really believe that, because we know that they had the pyramids all around the world. And I propose, just like others have talked about, and there's other books that I have on here behind my shelf, that they talk about that these pyramids were energy centers. They were generators of power, right? They had the jet pillars stationed or positioned all around the cities. And they pulled that power, the electromagnetic energy, pulled that power in, and that's how they were able to power the vehicles, the homes, and things like that. They didn't have the telephone poles that we have. Once this last reset happened, we know the Rockefellers came in, we know they started pushing the petroleum, and I mean, they restructured everything after this last reset, and the Greys had a help in that. We know these other entities, the Anunnaki, the custodians, along with the Gajars, had a hand in developing the society that we have today, right? I'm just saying, it just makes sense to me. I mean, we're putting the puzzle pieces together. I'm reading this with you all, but I'm also recalling things that I've read in the past in other books and other documentaries that I've saw and I've watched, and just hours of information I'm cataloging, and it just makes so much sense. Tesla didn't discover anything. He rediscovered what was already there, you guys. Right? They always want to have the secrecy around his technology and around his patents and around his 20 trunks, that came up mysteriously, that disappeared after his death. And he was always paranoid about somebody watching him and taking his stuff. Well, Trump's uncle went in and grabbed his stuff afterwards. And I mean, I either read it in a book or saw it in a documentary, but I think Trump even mentioned it in one of his interviews that his uncle came in, and he worked for some government entity or some corporation or something, and they came in and they took his stuff, and we don't see it today. It's been suppressed. It's been put on a shelf somewhere, right, in somebody's basement, in one of these alphabet soups corporations' basements, right? So it says these interactions may result in the manifestation of globular lighting as a byproduct of the dome operations, thus generating temporary failures in the projection system. It's what I told you guys, because there's been videos and people are like, oh, that's Photoshop, that's not real. They've had videos of people taking on camera where they see these like grids in the sky. So would that not be so far-fetched to say that sometimes the system will glitch up and you may see things in the sky that you're like, why does that look weird? If it's a projection, then that explains a lot of it. So it says, another of the examples curiously also occurred in the St. Petersburg Cathedral in 1753, close to another of the great cores that Great Tartary had before 1728. The Catatumbo lightning. These events that happen in the skies are really impressive and have attracted the attention of the new humanity more than once. It occurs in the basin of Lake Maracaibo in Venezuela and is characterized by the appearance of almost continuous lightning for approximately 160 nights a year, or even more, unaccompanied by thunder. Thus, lightning flashes have puzzled thousands of scientists for centuries due to their frequency, intensity, and the lack of explanation about the real causes. I actually know, I think he's passed away. I knew 4 people that have got struck by lightning. I shit you not. And I had an auntie who got struck by lightning. She actually got killed. Crazy stories I've heard as a child. Now, mind you, I was born in the 60s, 69, one of the best years ever. And I had a cousin, a good friend, an auntie, and an uncle. I think only one of them is alive right now. But anyway, long story short, did you know that once you get struck by lightning, once you're prone to get struck by lightning again? Did you guys know that? And they actually have a support group for people who have been struck by lightning. Yeah, a weird facts, but it's true. The reason why I know is because a friend of mine was going. My friend was going because it's traumatizing. It's not funny. I mean, he was going out to put his horses in. And if you see this video, you know who I'm talking. I'm not going to say your name, Cat Daddy. I'll just say that. He was going out to put his horses in the barn. And he got struck by lightning and passed out after that. Woke up and the horses were standing over him, looking at him in the face. True story. So I'm just telling you that there's some strange shit that goes on. But once you get struck by lightning, you're more prone to get struck by it again. I don't know. Just like these people have This is off topic. Let me tell you this. People who do instant combustion, like their energy is so intense, and I guess within the ether where electrical appliances, people actually have been known to just catch on fire instantly. I know. Research that. I'm serious. I watched a 3 hour documentary on it. It fascinated me because I was like, what the hell? Um, you know, in the wintertime, static electricity. We're in the ether. We are electric appliances. This is an electrical body. This is why they do these frequencies and they give us glyphosates. They affect us with the Wi-Fi, the fluoride. I mean, everything makes sense, right? To me anyway. I see it. I'm putting it together. I mean, it's right there. So what they're doing is they're manipulating our electrical appliances. So if you've got a disruption somewhere, say if you're going to go pump gas and you get a shock, well, there have been people who have caught fire at the pump from electromagnetic shock. That's why I tell you in the wintertime when you're pumping gas, don't take your ass back in the car and then come back out and touch the pump. You stand outside and pump that gas and keep your ass outside. Don't get back in the car and let the car run while you're pumping gas. You're always supposed to turn your car off, and you're never supposed to be on your cell phone either while you're pumping gas. Okay. So I'm just brainstorming and saying these things on camera, but it's like it makes so much sense. So could the IDP be generating a magnetic field in the region? Probably so. Maybe in these certain parts all around the world, there's been a breakdown or there's more energy flowing, and that system has to balance itself out, right? If you have an invisible dome projector like we do all around the world, there's gonna have to be maintenance, and it's gonna break down at some point. I'm just saying. That technology is not flawless. The custodians who, oh yes it is. No, if it's electronic and it's digital, then it can be manipulated and it can screw up. Just gonna say that. So it says this phenomena could be related to the release of residual energy that manifests itself in this way. Temporary faults could also be caused as a result of the intensity of lightning appearing in the skies below the dome. Lake Maracaibo can be observed as a high energy point where the IDP needs to recalibrate regularly, causing this strange lightning appearance. Recalibrate electronically. If it's working with electromagnetism, would it not be feasible to say that there could be glitches in the system? And what we're witnessing, and we're calling it a phenomena, is just really what it is. The system needs to be recalibrated, right? Recently, scientists' measurements of its electromagnetism revealed anomalous energy levels that could be related and further reinforces the IDP theory. Anomalous energy levels, meaning there are higher values or higher range of electromagnetism in that area. Why? Why? I mean, I don't know. I'm not a scientist, but I mean, it makes plausible sense to me that, well, you see glitches on camera, you see it. Who's to say that what we're having experience in this dome, the other domes all around us, the other 178 domes, have something similar in each dome? I'm just saying. Might be all the same technology. In 1840, the Siberian region witnessed a series of strange lights that were called unusual aurora borealis that puzzled both the inhabitants and the researchers of that time. They showed colors and patterns out of the ordinary, which generated theories of all kinds about their origin. In 1921, strange luminous figures appeared in the skies during the night in Aruska. The inhabitants called this the statues of the luminous skies, since their projections seemed to float. Now, I know you guys have seen the cities in the sky. Have y'all seen those videos where you see the cities and you see these big, tall figures in the sky? And people are like, oh, that's Photoshop. Not necessarily. Because if we're living in a holographic dome, they could project these crafts coming out the sky and this technology of all this stuff. And it really could be projections, and then they use some real vehicles too that come in, and that'll actually unalive you on the spot, right? So I'm just simply saying, we have the technology with movies. Why would it not be feasible for us to have that technology thousands of years ago, especially when they have these pyramids all around the world with their power plants, these big, huge crystal cities underground, right? So it just makes plausible sense to me as we're connecting the dots, and I'm reading this with you. This is the first time I'm reading this stuff with you guys, okay? This book. I just got it in and I wanted to read it on camera with you guys. So let's see. It says in 1953, similar events occurred regarding strange lights in the skies unexplained in the Kola Peninsula. In 1976, another unexplained event happened, which became known as the Red Fog of Kamchatka. A dense and reddish fog invaded a large part of the region, causing great fear. In the following year, Lake Baikal incident, 1977, occurred. The world's deepest and oldest lake has been the scene of numerous mysterious phenomena over the years post-reset. But in 1977, something very strange happened involving sightings of unusual lights and unexplained underwater phenomena. Lights of different hues were reported to be found, both on the surface and underwater, and then more reports came in on bright lights in the skies. In the same year, but in the September, similar phenomena were seen in Petroglyph lights and a black hole appearing in the sky for a few minutes that emulated a luminous arrays. Lake Baikal, deepest lake, it's in Russia. The divers that went down and was killed. Look up the story. Woodward Entertainment, Woodward TV, here on YouTube. He did a fabulous piece on that and this monster that everybody tried to hush and talk about. Also, I also saw a video about a trench in Hawaii. The Mariana Trench was the Mariana Trench is supposed to be the deepest part of the ocean, but it's not. Actually, they found a new trench off the coast of Hawaii that's, I don't know, 3 times deeper than the Mariana Trench. So they sent some kind of specialized sub down there, went so far down. They found another cavern. They went so far down. They went into this other cavern. And what did they find? A giant ass eyeball looking back at them. And they backed out. They got the equipment out and they came back up. They haven't went back to explore it. Now you explain that shit to me. Okay? I'm not making that shit up. Go look it up yourselves. You'll see the videos out there. So it says, the Norilsk event of 1979, strange lights were reported in the skies that added to the disruptions in the electronic devices and the electromagnetic anomalies in the area. Carrington event, look at that. The Carrington event that happened. I think that was in the 1800s, right, you guys? The Carrington event, where we didn't have a lot of telephone poles and electronic equipment that was invented at the time, but the stuff that we did have, it caused a severe power outage. Research the Carrington event. That could be a part of this, right? A part of electromagnetic anomalies and what's been happening with our, with the sun, supposedly. I think it's all a projection. And I think because of what I've read here, I think all that ties in. Like sometimes they do this, like what they call the sun gives off the solar flares. I think this is all part of the IDP. I really do. Now that I know that they have this technology, it makes so much more sense to me. We've always said the sun is a driver of climate change. It's more deeper than that. It's these entities playing with everything. Okay? While we're pushing this agenda of global warming, we really know that it's them doing the bullshit. They have the technology to do that. So it says, radios and TVs experienced significant interference during the appearance of these lights. Some people also indicated that animals in the region exhibited unusual behavior because the dolphins, the whales, the sharks all have that function where they maneuver in the sea, as well as birds, because they function with the electromagnetism in the ether. Okay, so if that's off, then yes, they will exude unusual behavior, especially if you've got fluctuations in that, right? That's why you see some whales beaching themselves or coming up on the ocean, from the ocean floor. You've got these giant whales and these sharks that are beaching themselves. It's because of what's going on with the ether. 10 years later, in 1989, very strange lights were again sighted in the skies over Yakutsk, Republic of Saska. This, I didn't even know there was such a thing. This event attracted the attention of the paranormal researchers as some people saw flying objects. This area, known for its harsh winters and geographic isolation, was the scene of very strange lights moving erratically through the night skies. This happened for several nights in a row, adding to the concern and the bewilderment. Why would it not be the fact that when these glitches happen, we see strange things? But why would it not also be that the cell membrane within our dome weakens, and so we see these things coming through? Just saying. Or we see alternate realities or dimensions, like the movie, like the Apple TV show right now, Dark Matter. Check that movie out. Check it out. It's a TV show. I think it's on episode 5. Okay, check out Dark Matter, Apple TV. It says, during the last few years, strange pillars of light that seem to descend from the skies have been reported in the Tayum area. Columns of different totalities seem to extend, generating a visual spectacle rarely seen. You think that's a glitch in the matrix, or do you think that's an alternate reality? What do you guys think? I'm just saying. It could be one and the same, right? It could be both. It says, let's see. Chapter 27, the dome theory and the cellular theory, the structure of the universe of the worlds. Okay, and I know I'm at time, and I thought we were going to get through reading. We've got a couple more chapters. Let's kill this one. Okay, I know I'm a little bit over. Let's read this one, and then we'll stop. And then when I come back, we will finish it up. Okay, it says, an interesting perspective that I should mention, and that I had also mentioned in previous books, is that one that compares the structure of the IDP with the cellular theory, mainly because of how they are structured and function in the complex systems. Although one could find some connection in that apparently autonomous components are integrated into the larger system, it is flawed in suggesting that they would be functioning together in a coordinated manner and maintaining life and order within their respective domains. Since it is known the explosion of its inhabitants from each dome world or cell matrix to other surroundings and distant domes. Anyway, it is interesting to begin to study these complex structures, analyzing that they could be part of a larger, more complex system. I think these dome worlds or cell matrix are just that. Look, he's showing you pictures. So one could be Earth, one could be Venus, one could be Mars, one could be Nibiru, right? Because they all operate independently, but they all are also dependent on each other. The cellular theory indicates roughly that all organisms are composed of cells and that they are the basic units of life. Each cell is delimited by a membrane that regulates the exchange of materials in its environment. And the new IDP theory postulates that each dome world functions as a basic unit within a larger system of dome worlds. And that makes sense. Each dome separated by membranes or barriers, like we have the ice walls, right? And we also have some kind of electromagnetism going on up there, a force field, so to speak, to keep things out and to keep us in, right? And at certain points that may break down. Each dome separated by membranes or barriers, similar to ice walls and other complex domes. They could be considered analogous to cell membranes in their function of separating and protecting the environments. In the cellular theory, membranes control what substances enter and leave the cell by maintaining a stable internal environment suitable for cellular life, or suitable for us, okay, or those other entities in other domes. It says, in the IDP, the dome's control and flow of information and environmental conditions within each dome world, ensuring that the conditions within each are optimal to maintain the desired version of reality, in this case, under the manipulation of the custodians with the implementation of the invisible dome projector. Look at that. That's a closer look. Now that makes sense to me. That makes so much sense to me. The cells in a multicellular organism not only exist independently, but also communicate and cooperate with each other, allowing the organism to function as a whole. The IDP theory is each dome world may appear autonomous, and there is likely to be a level of interdependence and regulated communication between them, possibly through technologies or protocols established by the custodians to maintain a cohesive order. The prospect of belonging to a larger system organism is intriguing. Just as cells are fundamental parts of a larger organism, each dome world could be seen as an integral part of a larger entity, leading us to reflect on our own significance and the role we play within the system. If we consider each dome as a cell in a larger organism, the question then arises as to the purpose and nature of the whole organism. Are we living in a constructed reality that serves purposes beyond our comprehension? What is the ultimate purpose of this vast organism? And this is the representation of the cell theory and the dome worlds right here. So each one of these worlds sustains life, like that looks like you and I, bipedal hominids. Could be manises. It could be the grays. There's different types of grays. It could be the Palladians, the Lyrians, remnants of the Hyperboreans. I mean, all different worlds have different entities or beings, right? Just saying. So now, we've got 2 chapters left, and it's at 35 minutes. I say we stop here, and I may come back on later on this afternoon and finish this up because I'm really interested in finishing this book. What do you guys think? I'm at 36 minutes. You guys want to keep me going, or should we cut it right here? Let's do this. Let's just go ahead and read it. Okay, let's just do that. All right, I'm excited, and I want to get through this book. So it says, chapter 28. Year 1729, the repopulations of the continents. If we look in the official history books, we will find that this period that followed the resetting is called the Enlightenment, or the Age of Enlightenment. The world was in a significant intellectual and scientific transition, in that I will agree with the official books, since it was a time where the custodians began to repopulate the continents. Curiously, new theories about the nature of the earth and the universe were beginning to take shape. Repopulating the continents, orphan trains, cabbage patch babies, the world fairs, 75 years of transporting children, Indian training camps, Indian boarding schools, where our people, the dark-skinned people, taught the light-skinned or the white people certain aspects, the natives, the Indian training camps that they put in place so that they could put these people of key positions and power all around the world. They had to re-educate the public. Remember, we read in this book where they unalived people 6 months and older. Yeah. So, I mean, when you've got breeding farms and you've got children having children, as they grow up, you got to repopulate the planet, right? So my thing is, so it says, so the universe was beginning to take shape. So it says, how did the repopulation of the new humanity take place? The custodians and the Anunnaki had selected to breed babies in their advanced laboratories. Their selection was exclusively based on genetics to have certain physical, intellectual, and emotional characteristics that they had previously stipulated. They also used accelerated incubation, incubabies, the cabbage pack. I think I put the book back, but y'all have seen it. Accelerated incubation so that they would be ready to quickly introduce them to the known continents. Key areas were chosen for this, completely removed from any core regions of Great Tartary until the final cleansing was begun to erase most of their structures and advancement. Areas of low temperature and stable humidity climates were chosen. Automated systems were also used that were prepared to assist in the care and development process of these children, beginning the new cycle plan. Their ships were used for transportation, including the underground tunnels that had been previously created by the Tartars. The construction of the environments prepared for rapid development was carried out, equipped in everything necessary for this to be possible. Custodian agents monitored their breeding and supervised that the facilities were adequate. Teaching programs, told you, and technology were added for learning aimed at what was previously established for the new cycle. Over time, communities were created under this legacy and adaptation. Thus, custodian agents began to monitor more and more from the shadows, as it did not require their physical presence. Chapter 29, first known exploration post reset. Many years later, a small group of this new humanity that was beginning again on the known continent began a strange exploration. Their real motivation is unknown into remote parts of Siberia. According to some stories left over from that time, it is said that they sighted a strange light coming from the surface into the bright skies, and that this attracted their attention enough to enter the areas of the harsh Siberian cold. After an extensive search, the five explorers found some caverns that branched into even more entrances to the underground part of the cave, reaching several subterranean levels. Clearly, these explorers had found one of the entrances that connected to the underground city of the Great Tatari. With very rudimentary rope equipment, they began the descent and began to notice that the further they descended, the more heat their surroundings emitted. The caverns began to change dramatically as they had descended, going from rough wooden walls to a smooth wall rooms of gray and blue. Many insignias of the unknown language were also read on their walls, along with their logos that they also could not decipher. We cannot confirm the existence of surviving Tartars who were still underground, connecting tunnels between large core regions that they themselves had forged. Nor can we confirm that there was a direct contact with these explorers, but the five explorers were completely moved by this discovery and tried to bring this knowledge to the authorities. Let's see. Although the story was simply taken as a mockery and the entire exploration was discredited, it is believed that the exploration started an alternative line of other explorations and theories about the world in its past. The scientific community that was beginning to group together and generate societies completely rejected that underground city could exist, much less beings living there. However, the custodians did not take this well at all and began to plan the total destruction of these underground cities, in addition to the investigating if any group of Tartars had survived the reset and could interfere again with their colony that was beginning this new cycle. And this is the representation of the tunnel system. Look at that. And look at this. Look at this. Interesting. It's amazing. And here's some more. Crystal cities underground. Look. Look at that. And clearly the technology that we have today doesn't even throw a stone at what they had already. We've had anything we see on TV and on movies that they put out there, we've had that for years. Underground. In the deep underground bases, the domes, right? And it says, this author, let's just read this really quick because we're done. Born in Buenos, Argentina, lover of cult stories since I was a child, I followed the skies closely after spending hours reading about UFOs and everything related to extraterrestrials. But something did not fit in those interstellar travels until the story of the navigator would finally dispel so many doubts. In addition to the ideas of ancient books of mythology and travel that created a possible connection with lands and planets behind the poles, everything began to have another perspective and sense, especially regarding the human past and the infinite spiritual potential. And that talks about his YouTube channel, No Scaphandrum, meaning no confusion, and he has over 8 million views. So I'm just simply saying to you guys, we finished the book. In closing, I don't want to make this too long-winded. We've already gone 40 minutes. I found it fascinating. It sheds more light to me, and it gives credence to the fact that we've had multiple resets, which ties in with what we see in geology, especially when Dr. Robert Schoch talks about the weathering of the pyramid and other places around the world where he can see that there's been multiple cataclysms. Graham Hickok says we are a species of amnesia, and we are, because we've been programmed and conditioned. Hence, you see how they set everything up with the incubator babies, the Cabbage Patch children, the orphan trains that ran 75 years. And you know, when you put all this together, you look at it, we were all around the world. We were all around the world. And during these multiple resets as happened, different races were created. I truly believe that. I do. My whole point to just sharing this information with you is to get us to investigate and look a little deeper and come back to center and state that regardless of all this that's going on, we are still sentient beings. And we have to get that direct connection within ourselves and with our higher selves, our oversouls, right brain, right hemisphere of the creator of all. We have to tap into that. And so by them bombarding us with frequencies, Wi-Fi, glosophates, fluoride, all the things, they're keeping us here, and we need to vibe here. We need to vibe at a higher level. We don't have a choice anymore. We have to ascend. Like I think it was Marcus Williams that says it, or is it Charles Johnson? If you know better, you do better. Proper education will course correct. You will make a difference, and you will make a change. Chief always talks about us staying in this stagnant state and not coming together as a people, as in a thoughtinous race. And my thing is, I don't care what color you are. You could be green or blue looking at this. I don't care. The point is, you are a sentient being like me. We are both sentient beings, and there is no mistake. You know, I truly feel we are eternally bonded. I am trying not to use the word love, right? I'm trying to state that anybody who sees this video, it's not an accident, it's not a coincidence. There was a reason why you're watching it, right? There's a reason why I'm sharing this information with you guys. So go get the books. Here they are. This is the most recent one. We've covered that. Chief Red Wolf is still reading The Explosion to Expositions. He's also reading Arthur Koestler's 13 Tribes. He's also reading Facts Are Facts of Benjamin H. Friedman. And he's reading a Tartarian romance, Heaven Bearers, right? Part 2 or book 2. He's reading that as well. So he's doing great work over there. Camille's doing phenomenal work. Research Guy's doing phenomenal work. Woodward Entertainment's doing phenomenal work. I think you guys are all doing phenomenal work. Drop 432, Rondo. I'm impressed with all of the content that's out there, and I use it to my advantage by recording it, writing in my journal, you know, taking notes, and going back and doing my research. The next thing that I would like to dive deep into is the anime, The God Killers. I'm going to start that this week and see what I can find. Also, I want to get back to reading the Book of Wisdom, because we need to finish that up with the science of sacred secretion and the teachings thereof, right? We need to look a little bit further and deep dive into that. I covered Jamil Shamshi Dean's book. Great, great, great. I told you, don't call my dummy no dummy, and don't call my dummy no dummy. Chief Red Wolf is also going to break that down as well. Hopefully we will still be able to do a podcast in the upcoming months, okay? So anyway, thank you all for joining me. Thank you all for taking the time to stop by and watch the video, and I will be back again with another reading. You guys have a great afternoon, and remember what I always say, be the change you want to see all around this planet, because it's up to you and I to make a positive change in this ethos. I'll talk to you guys soon.